I was never a big fan of stock instruments in live. Unlike stock effects, they seem a little bit outdated, clunky and complex. But I think it's not the main reason why we all choose VSTs instead. You can buy or acquire a lot of synths these days, but they all share the same benefit. A few clicks through presets and you have a sound ready to use or quickly tweak to your likings. The stock presets in live though... But I decided to check if that's really a synth's fault.
You keep your pet synth on a short leash, alright?
Operator is stock the most, and it's not a surprise because by default it allows for everyone's favorite FM synthesis. But first, let's focus on what's supposed to be the unique, fun and, in my opinion, easy to use for beginners. Meld has two oscillators with some quick macros to control them, a standard ADSR and modulation tap, plus some global controls and filter. You can quickly make yourself a huge soul lead by using, well, Soul Swarm on oscillator 1, and let's just actually turn off the oscillator B for now. And let's focus on adjusting this soul to the point that I'm actually gonna like it. So no need to play with any unison parameters or detuning, you basically have this all in one oscillator. Now let's turn oscillator B, and for this one let's just play with another shape. It gives a little bit more bite, and if you are curious, that's how the noisy shapes one sounds. But let's just try to increase the shape. Hope you don't mind that I'm using my push to control this synth because it's way more convenient to use it with my own hands, but obviously the mouse is your best friend. Let's just turn on the oscillator A again. And you know what, as I'm playing with this shape knob, we can actually add it to the matrix and modulate it. I think the modulation envelope, which is here, would be the easiest and most convenient thing to do right now. So let's just switch on matrix. Then we already have our shape lighted up. So let's just use this slider to modulate it with envelope. Then go back to envelopes. Maybe just add a little bit of attack. And we can now use some kind of filter. Let's just use the comp plus one. I can modulate this one with LFO. So let's go back to matrix once again and use LFO 2 because LFO 1 is a little bit more complex. Now let's just decrease the speed of this LFO. Let's quickly check how it sounds with melody. Still a little bit thin, but we can actually use the stack feature a little bit better. So now what's left is to use the spread slider. But let's face it, it still sounds a little bit cold and dry compared to third-party synths. The main point of VSTs and their presets is that they already have some sort of compression, EQ, reverb, delay and other effects. So that's why I created this simple rack. You can get it for free with a little preview from the preset pack I'm working on, but more on that later. So let's just toss it on this sound we created. And as you can hear, it already sounds better and closer to third-party synth presets. But that's not all. You have a couple of variations to choose here, so I decided to go with a start and tweak option and then just a bunch of different effect settings, including the reverb throw. And what sets this one apart from all the racks for quick space effects is that you have option to duck the delay and reverb, since you still want your sound to be punchy, but with effects on. Let's increase the wetness of both effects. And now, once I start to duck, you can hear that reverb and delay are making place for the sound to punch through. And obviously you have option to choose the release time of this whole ducking thing. Next we have Operator. If Ableton UI is compared to Microsoft Excel, this one definitely fits the vibe here. So you have 4 oscillators here, and by default they work in FM mode. But you can change this whole algorithm by pressing here and actually use them 4 at the same time. But let's just focus on FM for now. To visualize it even more, I have my simple sine wave here on oscillator 1, and once I start to increase the level of the oscillator 2, it starts to introduce harmonics. You can obviously change the shape of this wave, and we can actually go with the saw. Then you can change the ratio of it and fine-tune it. But I don't recommend it for now if you don't know what you're doing. This whole menu doesn't mean that you need to use only those shapes. You have a user setting, and now you can draw your harmonics just like you draw a wave shape in Serum. Let's do a 5th one here. Just maybe go with 7th and decrease the 5th. Maybe add 1 octave up. Just like with Meld, envelopes play a crucial role here, so instead of doing the basic thing like that, you can actually adjust the envelope for the second oscillator. And we have a simple womp here. And let me tell you something, there are countless of different options to adjust your sound here, but I won't go through all of them because there are already some great in-depth guides with Operator. But the other parameter you should be interested in is this filter one. You can see what you're doing here, but once you change the filter type to one of those, I really like to use this one, you can also adjust the drive, which is basically driving the whole signal here, and change the wave shaper to add even more grittiness. I feel like some hyper-pop kids are gonna love it. But by far, my favorite one is obviously Wavetable. It feels like home if you no longer want to use Serum, or you basically get bored of it, or you go against Free Vital as a Ableton stock purist. I had the most fun with it during this whole I tried to use stock live synths experiment, and some of the best sounds I did are made with Wavetable. Before I show it to you, a quick break from a sponsor. Myself. I wanted to thank all of you guys for showing consistent support, booping the like and subscribe button, and tell you that you actually made me feel less anxious about making YouTube videos. I'm not doing this full-time. In fact, I have a full-time normal job totally not related to music, so to go further with my channel, go grab some free presets from the description below. Then let me know if you want the whole pack like this. In a few weeks I'm launching Patreon, and that will be the place where you can get this pack and some other future goodies based on stock effects and synths. But back to the video. By saying that Wavetable feels like home, I meant that you can use different wave shapes. You can scan through them. Then use a second oscillator and totally different wave shape here. Obviously the matrix is here for automating those scanning parameters. Well, we have a super weird and shitty womp here. But I guess you could do something with that. You can upload your own wavetables or actually drag some sounds from the browser. So let's just try to grab the kick here. But let's face it, it can quickly get boring without all of those fancy FM or folding options that Serum has. Well, Wavetable has them too, but they are hidden in this menu. So let's just choose FM for this particular wavetable. Once I increase the amount, then you can obviously tune your frequency modulation. Then for the first oscillator, let's actually use the modern menu and then warp the sound a little bit and do some wave folding. I think we made ourselves a pretty cool bass to use in some form of accent or something like that. Don't get me wrong, this video is not a complete breakdown and walkthrough through all of those synths, because I don't want to make yet another breakdown video for Wavetable, Operator, because there are already a bunch of cool ones. It's just here to show you that you can actually make some cool stuff with stock synthesizers. But going back to stock solutions.